Time for us to turn our attention to the tennis. Colm Boohig, it says here, your serve. Where are you bringing us?
Morning, Ger. Morning, Owen. Yeah, the Australian Open, it's up. It's going. It felt like it was never going to happen. It was delayed by 3 weeks. There was 72 players put into hard quarantine after 3 flights, one from Abu Dhabi, one from Doha, one from Los Angeles, arrived with COVID positive cases confirmed. And a lot of those 72 players have crashed out. The most high profile being the defending women's champion, Sofia Kenin, is gone overnight. She's lost 6-3, 6-2 to the veteran Estonian, Kai Kanepi. Now, Kanepi has previous in beating high profile players at Grand Slams. She's beaten former Grand Slam champion Simona Halep, Angelique Kerber, Caroline Wozniacki, but this is a major shock from a player of Kenin's ilk who won last year's Australian Open in fantastic fashion. She beat Garbine Muguruza in a brilliant final, and she just lost the French Open final to Iga Swiatek. But it's a ridiculously strong women's lineup this year, whereas the men's, it's kind of who's going to face Novak Djokovic. And for the sake of interest for all tennis fans, whether that be intense or casual, we're hoping it's Nick Kyrgios, but the chances of him making it all the way to the semi-final are highly unlikely. Entertaining nonetheless.
Okay, talk to us a bit more about the crowd before we get into Kyrgios. So this is still our 15 love point here. How many fans? What kind of atmosphere at the moment?
It's half capacity, so you can expect about 400,000 fans over the fortnight in Melbourne. So they have to wear masks entering the grounds, walking around the grounds. Once they sit in the seats, they can take off the masks. But it just makes a monumental difference. Like, there were no fans at all at the US Open. There were very limited fans at the French Open, I think 100 per stadium. But here it's half full per stadium. And you're really seeing the benefits of a brilliant atmosphere as a result. And to be fair, it does make tennis a lot more interesting for most people when the crowd are like that. And it was like a Davis Cup-like raucous atmosphere, especially in the home favourite matches like the likes of Ash Barty and Kyrgios and Thanasi Kokkinakis, who's playing Stefanos Tsitsipas. They're the brilliant matches, but we've already seen crowds just react brilliantly in on-court post-match interviews to the likes of Tsitsipas and Djokovic, where they're hissing and booing the players, and it's all kind of pantomime villain stuff, but it's brilliant to watch from afar anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the notoriously, famously polite Australian crowds at sports events, who would have thought we'd miss them? What was the crack with Tsitsipas? Did he win or lose? Sorry, he's still in it, is he?
Yeah, he won. So he won his first round against Gilles Simon. He won that pretty comfortably. But afterwards, that's exactly what he said in the crowd, or in the post-match interview on court. So he kind of said, now in fairness, the interviewer prompted him, but he was saying, yeah, I didn't expect it to be that easy. And then the crowd started booing him, and he didn't know what to do with it. He was like, I didn't mean it like that. I'm just saying I played brilliantly well. And then they started booing him again. And he was like, I'm just going to walk away. I just can't do it. He just couldn't deal with them. And so he's playing as we speak, because obviously with the Australian Open, they're 11 hours ahead of Melbourne, so a lot of the matches are actually happening as OTB AM is happening. And Tsitsipas is in the midst of a brilliant match with Kokkinakis, who is a home favourite, former wonder boy who has really struggled with injury the last few years. But this is after the first round match. So if he does prevail in this match, I'd be interested to hear the post-match interview. But the crowd are just relentless and ruthless. And Tsitsipas just couldn't deal with it. And then in the post-match press conference, he was visibly shook. Like he was like, I can't believe they treated me like that. But I mean, to me, it was a joke, and they were just messing with him. But he was really surprised by their reaction. He was just being honest and earnest in his view. But the crowd were booing him anyway.
What about Kyrgios? I found myself, this is our 30 love point, I found myself being in the unusual situation of going, yeah, Nick Kyrgios, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, you're right, Nick. Good man.
Like, if he reaches the semi-final, it'll be an unbelievable payoff. I've been saying it pretty much all this week on Twitter. It would be against his best buddy, Novak Djokovic. But, I mean, the chances of him getting to that are pretty much nil, because in the third round, he's playing Dominic Thiem, who outside of Djokovic and Rafael Nadal is the best player in the tour. So he did really well in the first round. He beat a player who has the initials FFS, Federico Ferreira Silva, who's playing his first ever Grand Slam match. And watching Kyrgios, it is like FFS, because he just goes through all these motions, and like they become so predictable to watch after a while. It's like, you you know he's just getting head up and aggressive to get himself going. But he's taking it out on other people. And it's just after a while, you just get annoyed watching him. But he is such a brilliant player on his day. I mean, that's the reason why he continues to get airtime. Like, he is box office. He does have an unbelievable array of shots. But, like, for instance, in that match against FFS in the first round, he went 2-love down the first 2 games. Bear in mind, Silva had never played a Grand Slam match ever before. Like, so he had no right to be going 2-love up against a relatively experienced player like Kyrgios. And Kyrgios, to show his frustration, turned around to his box and said to a member of his box, "Get your girlfriend out of here." Now, like, we don't know who he was saying it to. We don't know if the person in question left, but that's how he takes it out in his own team. And then he was having problems with the time between serves and getting called by the umpire, even though every player knows there's literally a countdown timer right there to see how long you have between serves. And he was complaining about that. But you can almost tell he's just doing that to rile himself up. And then the other side of Kyrgios is, and it's something I shared on Twitter the other day, is his tweener shots, the shots between the legs, and just like his ridiculous skill level of being able to pull those off when, like, these courts this year are playing really fast. They get relayed every year, and they're really fast this year. Even Djokovic is struggling a bit. Like, he lost the set in his second round match. But Kyrgios has just unbelievable reflexes. So, like, shot was coming straight at him, and he just puts the racket under his legs. It's pretty much a volley at the net, and it goes over. And then he puts his arms out, Eric Cantona style, to be championed by the crowd, who actually really do love him. So he got through his first round in straight sets. It's relatively okay. But it was against Hugo Humbert in the second round where it was, like Kyrgios said afterwards, it was the best match he's ever been involved in. And he was 2 match points down in the 4th set. And he came back to win that in 5 sets.
Okay. So if he does get through to meet Djokovic, obviously, it will be as a result of playing great tennis to that point. Okay, so 40 love, the women's side, very strong. What's going on? Why is it so strong this time?
Yeah, it's unbelievable because basically the last 2 or 3 years there's been so many different women's champions because of Serena Williams being on maternity leave and coming back and not being as good as she was. And all those players are playing at this tournament. So that's the first time they've all played. So you have home favourite and world number 1, Ash Barty, who is safely through to the 3rd round. She just won her 2nd round match. She won her first round 6-love against a player called Danka Kovanic, who won 10 points in total. Or to put it another way, every time she won a point, she earned 10,000 Australian dollars. That's how few points she won. That's how dominant Barty can be. She wasn't as dominant in the 2nd round, but she won pretty comfortably. So she's the favourite. As I say, the defending champion, Kenin, is out, but you have Simona Halep, who's a two-time Grand Slam champion. You have Naomi Osaka, who won the Australian Open 2 years. She's the defending US Open champion and a 3-time Grand Slam champion overall. You have Garbine Muguruza, who reached the Australian Open final last year, also a former Grand Slam winner. You have Iga Swiatek, who won the French Open a few months ago against Kenin. And of course, you have Serena Williams. So if Serena Williams wins, remember, she will be the all-time record Grand Slam holder on the women's side with 24 titles. But she hasn't won a Grand Slam in 4 years. It was a 2017 Australian Open against her sister Venus when she was actually pregnant without realising it and beat everybody in straight sets to win the title, which was one of the most phenomenal sporting achievements I can think of. But since she's come back from giving birth, she's been to 4 Grand Slam finals and lost them all in straight sets. So there's obviously this mental block for a player who really is the best women's player of all time, but she just has to confirm that and solidify it and eclipse Margaret Court.
Well, I think we can happily blank Margaret Court from existence. There's also the possibility she just has come off a point where she was invincible and she's not as good anymore, and that it's not a mental block, but that her game won't ever get back to a point where there isn't somebody that fortnight who's better than her. That's a possibility at that age.
Yeah, like she's approaching 40. Those names I've mentioned already are all better than her, but on her day, she's so dominant still. I mean, in all those 4 Grand Slam finals that she's reached in the last 2 years, she's dominated everybody en route to all 4 finals. It's that when she falls up short is those finals. I don't think that anybody is that much better than her. The players that I've mentioned probably are on their day these days, but Serena's so dominant, like she intimidates most of the players because she's so powerful with her serves, and she's just such an intimidating presence because she has that aura about her. She's one of a handful of tennis players who does. And you wouldn't be surprised if she won the Australian Open, but there are at least 3 or 4 players who I think will win it ahead of her. But if she did, it would be great because she'd get to 24. And it's the same with Rafa Nadal. He's on the cusp of being on his own at that mountain as well if he wins.
Would Serena winning a Grand Slam in her 40s be better than Tom Brady winning the Super Bowl at 43?
Yeah, because she has to do it on her own. She's just out there on her own. So yeah, I would say I would say it's a phenomenal achievement, yeah, especially because it's been 4 years since she's won one. Yeah, I mean, that would be up there with, potential, even though we're early doors, as the sporting moment of 2021, if she won a Grand Slam at this age, considering it's been so long since she has won one.
Even better than Andy Murray's win last year.
Well, no, I mean, you're pushing it there, but it'll be good, like, it'll be good.
Jer gave the shifty eyes there. He's not buying your theory that it is better than Tom Brady, I think.
Oh, that's fine. It's an opinion. I'd like to hear why you think Tom Brady would be a better achievement.
I think that we don't need to pit these two things against each other. They will
exactly. We can all live in harmony. Yeah.
It's so boring.
Well, no,
I mean, wait to take the air out of the debate, Jer. Thanks for that.
Well, look, can we haven't talked about the Irish kid who's like half Irish at least. So Michael Moe, he's playing Nadal. He's American, Irish, Nigerian, Australian from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, very talented by all accounts. Haven't seen a lot of him.
He's 17? Or that was a couple of year ago.
I'm not sure of his age, actually. I'm not sure. But yeah, like, it'll be a serious experience for him. Like it would just be so good to have anyone connected with Ireland. Anyone connected with Ireland at all would be great for him, just to have someone to...
23, yeah. His mum was an Irish nurse.
Yeah, that's enough. Like, that, we'll take that. Like,
what are you talking about? Like,
no, that's it's
Patrick McEnroe played Davis Cup for Ireland.
Yeah, well, we need something, because it would just be unbelievable. I mean, if you're looking at the biggest picture, can you imagine an Irish player on centre court at Wimbledon? Can you imagine the fanfare that player will get? Can you imagine the interest levels would just increase considerably? So it'll be unbelievable. I mean, look, you're kind of fearing the worst from him against Nadal, but it will still be an experience if he can get a set off Nadal. You never know, because Nadal's really struggling. Like, he has a really bad back injury. He's only won the Australian Open once. That was in 2009. He's reached 5 finals, but he's been beaten 4 times. So it's not his strongest service. It's not very comfortable in Australia. So you never know. I highly doubt it. There would be some story.
All right. Colm, good stuff. Thanks very much for that. That was your match point.
Cheers, lads.